Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today for this session. And in next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how basically you can build your own AI sales and marketing assistant for personalized outreach, right? Now, who am I? My name is Pooja Jain. I'm the founder of Power Up AI. Uh, it's an AI consulting and training company based in Frankfurt. So I have been working in AI and automation since 2017 now, actually way before it became, so cool. And how I got into it is also like an interesting story because I do not come from a technical background. But in 2017, my role was quite operational, which means I was working on a lot of data massaging, and I realized that 80% of my time was workday was actually getting spent on a lot of menial tasks, which were critical, but then they were tedious. And as a result of that, I was not able to spend a time on, strategic projects, which of course you need to spend if you want to grow your career for business or whatever. And that led me into this rabbit hole of machine learning and how I basically can leverage it with my limited technical expertise to automate. And once I start getting into it, I realized that in the market, even then, there were a lot of options which I could still leverage without having to code heavily, with all the resources available on the internet. And hence, I ended up becoming like the automation lead for my team and later on for the business unit at Procter& Gamble. Now, since 2020, I have been working with organizations mainly in Europe, but some in India as well, guiding them on how they can start thinking about AI and automation. And this comes from different perspectives. So be it, developing the skill set, be it integrating in their existing technical infrastructure, or, just auditing their business processes to see what can be outsourced to AI. Because let's face it, not everything can be is good for AI. So that's my background. And yeah, I want to emphasize like I am not a coder because that's one of the most common things I hear whenever I go for these sessions, that I do not have a technical background. So how can I start with these tools? You really do not need to. I mean, we have now so many these low code and no code tools wherein you just have to like get used to. It's a learning curve, but you just have to get used to of explaining your business. So think of it this way, that if you can explain what you are doing for work to a 5-year-old, you just have to do exactly that to any LLM. Like explain what you are doing, and then this LLM would be able to help you with it. So let's get let's get on to the next one. I mean, I started off, so when I started off in like sales and marketing, I realized that one of the biggest problems that marketers or even sales team, because they work quite collaboratively, hypothetically, is facing is that there is like this outreach is super generic, right? I mean, let's go into this marketing 101 for like a minute. What you see here on the left is, your Microsoft Zune, which is the competitor of iPod. And as you see here, like that is the biggest difference. I mean, this is something we are talking of 90s and late 90s, mid 90s. Even now, I see this so often that marketers, they often, or even salespeople, like when you get a cold email, they often focus on on their products. So their emails are filled up with technical jargon, features, and but not like what your users or what your intended buyer wants to focus on, which is basically their desires and pain points. So this iPod is basically this classic example of from, that focuses on the desires and pain points of its user rather than, talking about how many GBs of space it has and, what are the tech features and so on. I mean, there is a space for that, but not when you are doing a cold outreach because you do not know who is going to read that email. So that's established that, cold for these cold outreach to be successful, you should have them hyper personalized. But how do you make them? Like, what is first thing is that personalization pays off, right? So according to a research by the Relevancy Group, advanced personalization, which now we call it hyper personalization, it can generate up to like $20 in ROI for every dollar invested, which is a whopping 1900% ROI. But then again, like anything that comes with a but, it's not easy because as you see, like still 63% of digital marketers, they continue to struggle with personalization. Why? Because let's think of personalization. I mean, if you have to do it at scale, you really have to leverage technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning to research into your audience group and to extract those hidden insights. But even today, less than 17% of marketers are using it. And this is a study by Gartner. So if as a marketer or as a sales lead, you start leveraging these tools now, you are already ahead of the curve in terms of, personalization or hyper personalization. So before I go forward, I'll stop here for a minute, see if there is anything you would like to add.
No, I think, Pooja, we're going into a period of hyper personalization, and I think yes, it is the best way, I suppose, to get to your client by delivering very personalized messages. But I also think that the consumer now is going to expect it because we look at Perplexity and the AI search engines, they're delivering personalized information direct to the consumer now. The consumer knows where to get the information. So I think yes, it is probably the best way to get to your client customer, but they also are going to expect it going forward,
Yeah.
with new technologies. Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that because as these AI tools become more commonplace, uh, they you have to expect that customers, even your customers are expecting more. So
Yeah.
to let them open that email, you have to put in a lot of effort now.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So what I did for this session, because I wanted it to be more practical, I've created a demo scenario because I am from background, my background is mostly in B2B. So let's say I am a SaaS company developing AI-based ERP systems for manufacturing companies. And here I have listed like some of why someone should focus on my tool. It's scalable, usage-based pricing, quick integration, and so on. I mean, you can make it as detailed as you want. But the point here is that let's say, I mean, if since it's a hypothetical situation, I've not put in too much effort in here, but once you have more information, make it more nuanced. So, in terms of scalable, what do you mean in terms of, numbers? Okay. Okay. So now the next step is let's jump onto ChatGPT and see how ChatGPT can help us in creating a buyer persona. But before I move on, let's see also the buyer persona. You are able to see my screen, right? The Excel file.
Yeah.
Great. So this is a very typical CRM download that almost all of us have seen. It's a company we get like whatever we can get from basic prospecting. A company name, which industry, employee size, revenue, key decision, who's my key decision maker, what's their current tech stack, and if they are active on LinkedIn and what they're doing. So this helps us in getting better idea who we are speaking with. Now, going on to ChatGPT. So what I'm going to show you now is actually an example of somewhat advanced prompting called chain prompting. Chain prompting means, so one style of prompting is that you put all your information in one super big prompt, but the disadvantage of that is if the bigger your prompt becomes, the more difficult it is for any LLM tool, specifically ChatGPT, Claude, and so on, to give you good results. So it starts getting very, hallucination becomes a big problem. It starts getting confusing for ChatGPT to understand what you want and to understand the input. So as you must have seen, like here in my example, I have not given any information about the company. So it does not, it just knows it's a manufacturing company with employee size and revenue. Now, first, let's start there, that what it can give us about the company, right? Because we want to leverage anything and everything that ChatGPT can help us with. So, okay. So I'll start with a very simple prompt here, which is that it should act as a senior B2B market research analyst. I mean, I've given it the number of years of experience to provide more context. And it needs to analyze the pain points and creating buyer persona, because we need buyer persona if we want to create this hyper personalized content. For that, the first step is that we wanted to analyze the company website and include whatever that company is doing based on, their website, latest news, and so on. Now, what I want from the company is, say, the recent company changes, what are their growth indicators, current priorities, and so on, because that would help me aligning my product or my offering with the company priorities. So let's start with that. And I have given it a company website. It's a real company. Okay, one more thing that you have to be careful of. So this is one thing is a paid version of ChatGPT, because only I believe in paid version you can access the live web. I'm using it has so ChatGPT now has like 7 or 8 models. I would suggest that if you are new to ChatGPT, stick to 4.0, because 4.0 is one of the most versatile ones, which can do almost all the tasks. Like these Open Preview and Open Mini, which are their most advanced models, I do not think you need that unless and until you are working on some very complex science problem. So let's stick to that. And here I would select search the web, because I wanted to search the web. Let's see what it provides us. Okay. So as you can see, it has gone onto the company website.
Yeah, I thought it was talking about.
It has gone onto the company website and given us the information on all the latest acquisitions, what their growth priorities are for this year, what happened this year, where they are going to focus in the next year. My suggestion is always go on to the source, because when you start using the web search, you see the sources here. So it's always like, I personally always go and double check the information if it is like, just to ensure that it is not hallucinating. So, and then it has given us also the current priorities. So this all has been, summarized based on my prompt. You can change this prompt as ever you like, if you want to include something more, like say sustainability or wherever your solution goes into. So this is that. Now, the next part. We have the latest information on the company. We have the latest news. I would like to leverage this latest news from the company or whatever they are doing to create a holistic buyer persona. So for that, let me go into my second prompt. And I will be sharing these prompts with you later on after the workshop along with the recording. So that's completely fine if you do not want to just write down anything. So what I am just saying is, now based on this current company information, create a detailed buyer persona of my lead. And lead information is something that I'm giving it in the CSV file, because as you saw in ChatGPT, I can also now attach my files and everything, so you can give it in whichever format. And I wanted to focus on pain points. decision triggers, and what are their communication preferences. And this is, again, completely customizable on how you want or whatever you want to include in your buyer persona. So here, okay, as you've seen that since the search was selected, I cannot attach the file because right now it is only possible to either attach a file with ChatGPT or search it. So to enable the attach function, I have to disable search and then upload the CSV file from my computer. Perfect. So as you can see, it has taken the information from the CSV file that I have provided and created the particular buyer persona for the person with, it has taken its job title, company name, and then given me the top 3 pain points, decision triggers, and how they would like the communication preference. Now, this is all based on, say, a lot is based on the company website that we have given it, and the whatever information we have provided it using with the initial prospecting. If you would like to include any more information, let's say during the prospecting, you realize that their communication preference is, say, over phone rather than in email or something like that. In that case, I always advise you to include that information in your CSV file or in your prompt. But here we have what we needed. We wanted top 3 pain points. We wanted the decision triggers. We wanted communication preference. The one thing that you can do is, let's say, if you want to edit this part, you always have the option. Okay, it's not enabled for whatever reason, but yeah, you have the canvas option here. You can enable that. I think you have to enable it at the start of the chat, and that would give you an option to edit it within here. So you do not have to edit it later on. Now, this is first part of the problem, but our ultimate target is that we would like to create the custom or the personalized content based on pain points. So here I have shown you how you can use a normal ChatGPT, right? The point here is you have to always be very specific with prompting. You have, if you're repeating this exercise for 10 different personas, then you have to always update your prompt or be very specific. For anything that you have to do repeatedly, I advise you to go for custom GPTs. So custom GPTs are something wherein you can put prompts just once and they become like your personal assistant, and then you do not have to go into such detailed prompting again and again. So what I'm going to show you for now is how we can create a custom GPT. For that, okay, one thing is it is only possible with the professional account, that is the paid version of ChatGPT. But to create a custom GPT, just go in here and go into My GPTs, create a GPT, and that's it. So here is, your canvas where you can create the custom GPT. There are 2 options. You can either configure here. So, you can put a name, description, instruction, and conversation starters. But if you're new to this, I would advise you to start with create option. So this is more like a chatting. You have to tell it what you want to do. And then GPT will create like a custom GPT for you. So let's start with this one. So as you can see here, it says, I will help you build a new GPT and what would you like to make? So here we have to give our custom GPT instructions only once. So as you can see, I have put super detailed instructions because it is only once that I have to give this. But that makes my life much easier later on because I'm not required to type this again and again. And you see here, it is updating the GPT. So it will create this GPT for you. to save time, let's say this is how it will look like. Okay, this is something I have created in before. So there is the name, there is description, there is instruction, and as you can see in the instruction, I am very specific on what my communication style is. I want it to be very concise, do not use any technical jargon. So it's basically, I'm teaching it how to write like me. Very concise to the solution to the problem, no technical jargon, do not use buzzwords and so on. And at the end of it, I've added the buyer persona that we generated. And I just said that always ask me if something is missing. Do not assume any information. So this is like one of the best things you can do if you want your GPT to hallucinate less. Okay. And that's it. In the knowledge section, I would advise that if you have a lot of product insights, say you have case studies that you would like to refer to in your emails, or you have very well described product specification, that all something you can upload in the knowledge files. And that's it. Once you are done with that, just select all these because we wanted to access all possible resource, update, and your custom GPT is ready. You can now use this, like create this GPT either, let's say if you have a very big account that you're working with, you can make it a custom GPT per account and you can add different buyer personas in there. If you have, let's say, lots of smaller accounts, but a very similar kind of buyer persona, you can do it per buyer persona and then keep on giving it different information. So as you can see, it has also provided me some chat starters, and now I do not have to prompt it again. I simply have to use this, and then it creates like a very personalized kind of email for me. Sorry. Just keep in mind that, usually the chats that appear in this custom GPT, they are not saved. So you have to copy them then and there. So here it is giving me still very, like as you can see, it is still very, the email is super large and I do not want it to, I do not want to write such a long email. But the good thing is it has picked up the latest news. So it has seen that the company has recent expansion in Monterey. So that means our solution, which is focused on scaling, would be relevant for them. So that means we just like it has picked up all the relevant points. It has given like picked up uh, the product specifications, and yes, that's it. You have to now, let's say you wanted to make it more concise, make it more concise. You're not required to give it a role again, and you're not required to give it more context again because all of that is available in the background. So it makes your life much, much easier. Great. So this is how you can create these custom GPTs. I would really advise you to start thinking about custom GPTs for something that you are doing again, like repetitive tasks. So it's a big time saver. I also want to show you now, this is, as you can see, it's with ChatGPT, it is still somewhat manual. Like I still have to provide in the context. I still have to provide it the profiles, all the relevant information in my prompt. I want to show you like a fully automated way. Obviously, we do not have the time to go in the details, but just like give you an overview. But before we go in there, any comments or anything to add here? Rosine, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, Pooja. No, that was great. That was very clear, honestly. Yeah.
Great. So this is the next tool that I want to introduce. This is called Relevance AI. And Relevance AI is something more advanced than ChatGPT, because with Relevance, you can create AI agents. And what are AI agents? AI agents, think of them, like your 24/7 marketing assistants, whom you do not have to prompt again and again. And based on the information that you provide, they are able to create autonomous actions. Okay. Great. So what I've created this, this creating this agent is like a topic for another 2 to 3 hour workshop, but I just want to show you what you can do with it. So once you log into Relevance, I would be sharing, by the way, this agent with you after the call. You can simply have to clone it. And on the free version, you get 100 credits every day. And running this agent for one profile will take like 4 credits. So you can run it for 25 different profiles. All you have to do, let's say if you have found out your perfect target audience, the LinkedIn profile of your perfect target audience, you have all the information, they are active on LinkedIn, they have updated your profile, and you want to create a buyer persona based on that. So how that is, this tool is exactly for that. Sorry, I am, okay. Let's go into this. So here I'm giving it a LinkedIn profile. It's just the URL. And I am just saying what my company does. That's it. I had to run the tool. And if you like what in the background, what it is doing is it is scraping the LinkedIn profile information of the person that I've given. It is also scraping what they, what they do on LinkedIn, like which communities are they part of? What kind of events do they attend? So based on that, LLM, so in terms of LLM, I am still using ChatGPT in the background, but it gives me an idea of what this person looks like and what their interests are and how I can reach out to them. So as you can see, the buyer persona, it has extracted the profile name, their headline, role, and so on. In terms of buyer persona, I find this highly accurate, because the profile is that of my husband. So I asked him to confirm what does he think, and he said it makes a lot of sense, because in terms of age and everything, of course, that is relevant, but the pain points that it managed to figure out from the LinkedIn profile, the power, like if they have the buying power, the budget authority, and so on. And what are their learning, where they interact, and the pitch, like what are their yes factors and no factors. So all of that, it has managed to extract just based on the one LinkedIn profile link. And then I have trained it to also create like an email based on, their specific buyer persona and our product, of course, that how we can help them. And this is all fully editable. All you have to do once you clone it here, go into build. It looks a bit technical, but once you can go in there, you will get a hang of it. Like you have to adjust the prompts here, for example. But this is one tool where, which makes your life, like making these AI agents with Relevance AI can make your life so much easier when it comes to things like prospecting, personalization, figuring out what your prospects are doing, research at scale. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to share today. And before we conclude the session, because we are almost at the end of the time, but I also want to share like these common AI pitfalls. I always share it, because it's very easy to get this wow factor when you see these tools, but you also have to be clear on their pitfalls. So for example, there is a learning time. So any AI agent or any AI, let's say custom GPT that you build, it will take several iterations before it learns what you prefer, your communication style, something about your product, and so on. And of course, garbage in, garbage out. So there is no way that any of these tools can work if your input data is not clean. So you have to work on that. And when it comes to data, you have to be very, very careful of the biases that are part of these like AI data. Because if, let's say, you are using this for any of the sensitive processes, be it, recruiting, be it something involving financial data or health data, there is so much in the bias. Like one particular example is if you ask any of the image generators, even today, to give to give a successful CEO, generate the image of a successful CEO, 99% of the percent of the time it would be a male, a white male. So these are the kind of biases that you have to be super aware of. Otherwise, you would not be even aware, like you would not even realize when they creep in into your processes. And last but not the least, please do not replace all human interactions because, all this is good for automating the mundane and the background task, but have that unique touch, like always include that unique touch in there. So that is it pretty much from my side before we wrap up. So yeah, I mean, I already introduced myself. So basically how we can help you is at Power Up, we have a network of technical implementation teams. Let's say if you're dealing with what data security issues and everything, we can implement these solutions on-premise, which means you do not have to work with OpenAI or any of these platforms. It would all be local data, business process auditing, and custom prompt engineering. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. My DMs are open. Anything you would like to share. So my DMs are always open, and I believe I am connected to most of you on LinkedIn. Great. So we still have like 5 minutes. If you would like to add something, any questions, happy to answer.
Pooja, for the custom GPTs, have you ever tried? I've applied it right in the style of, or having, say, for instance, for branding, a branding GPT.
Mm-hmm.
I've uploaded the resources of Build a Story brand because I love that whole principle, and you can ask it to write in the style of.
Yeah,
I think that can be very useful sometimes to
absolutely.
get a good result on the other end. And people
Yeah.
forget that. So your favorite uh, creator, or where they have probably written about it in detail that that you agree with, it can be very useful to do
Absolutely,
that.
and that's a great point, Harasin. So if like with these custom GPTs, you can upload all of this in the knowledge section. So
Yeah,
if you have any famous frameworks that you would love to use,
that's it.
upload them in
Yeah.
the knowledge section, and then it would behave accordingly. So for example,
Yeah.
I've not created that GPT, but I have seen this GPT that someone created for these 100 million leads or lead magnets, this famous book by Alex Hormozy. And
Hormozy. Yes, I've
yeah,
seen that. Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
very nice, like because the book is
Yeah.
open source, I
Yeah.
believe. So they have
Yeah.
created a GPT out of it.
Yeah.
So you can do that, absolutely.
Yeah.